For more on this massacre in Kenya, I'm now joined by Bronwyn Bruton. She is the Deputy Director of the Africa Center at the Atlantic Council. She's also an expert on al-shabab and violent extremism. President Kenyatta came on and addressed the nation, expressing his condolences, but also said his government is taking steps to resolve this by calling up 10,000 recruits to report for training. There had been court orders that had kind of suppressed that from happening. Obviously, there's going to be outrage about this, and one would think he's deflecting some of that outrage away from his government towards the judicial system. But talk to me about the security situation there. How bad is it?
I think the situation is bad and getting worse, and I think the security services are making the situation worse and not better.
How so?
In a situation like this, it's critically important that local communities feel able to put trust in police officers and military and intelligence workers. They have to feel that if they see something suspicious in their community, that they can report it, that reporting an incident isn't going to lead to them being persecuted or the people that they are worried about actually being shot by police officers. And currently that's not the case. And more than that, the police and the military have been so brutal that local leaders are saying that they're actually reinforcing Shabaab's radicalization message, doing Shabaab's work for it. Interesting.
Well, one of the things about al-Shabaab, and you've been on this broadcast before, you've talked a lot about this, the sphere of influence was Somalia. Of course, there was the attack in Uganda, the suicide attack in 2010, and of course, we know the Westlake Mall attack in Kenya, another attack in Kenya. What do we read into this? I mean, is it a larger footprint now, or what's your takeaway?
My takeaway is, and obviously this is only a guess, but I frankly would read it as a pivot towards the Islamic State. Al-Shabaab has attacked students before. When they have, it's backfired on them terribly. They know that it's a very serious thing to do. People hate it. It's not something that's going to give them political credibility or allies on the ground. So this is really them saying we are a pure terrorist movement now. And more than that, this is very evocative of Boko Haram in Nigeria, which last month became an affiliate of the Islamic State. When you have a terrorist group going into a school, hunting down students, executing them, taking student hostages, that is really Boko Haram's trademark. And I really think that al-Shabaab using these tactics is almost like standing and waving its arms in the air saying, hey, don't forget us, we're here.
You know, it's interesting. In getting ready for this interview, I went online and I was just reading this analysis from a think tank, which was written recently, and I see you smiling, and I'm quoting, "A sustained African Union military campaign in recent years has weakened the group considerably." And I suspect if you were in Kenya and had just witnessed this, and you'd be thinking, if this is a weakened al-Shabaab, what's a strengthened al-Shabaab look like? Is it just tough to read these groups, or is this a sign of weakness and that they're trying to get back on back in the headlines in a sense?
I wouldn't call it weakness. I would call it evolution. Essentially, al-Shabaab, when it was in Somalia and it was ruling territory, it had to maintain political credibility. So it was constrained from doing really horrific things. It wanted to govern. It wanted to be legitimate. But when it was defeated in Somalia, it went to Kenya, and it doesn't control territory there, and it's never going to. And so basically, its only option is to become not only a terrorist group, but a more awful terrorist group than its competitors, like Boko Haram. So in a sense, this is being the victim of success.
You've studied them quite a bit. What's the answer? Is there an answer?
The answer is slow and painful, unfortunately. It's really improving the Kenyan security services and turning them into an asset instead of a liability, and that's time-consuming. And my fear is that al-Shabaab is going to, now that it's really descending on this path, going to try for another signature strike and one that might possibly target Westerners as well.
So do you think that there is a threat here in the United States from them, in a sense?
I would look first for another signature attack in the region, but I honestly think that al-Shabaab, now that it appears to be committed to this trajectory, is probably going to be looking for strikes in the West in the future. Not that it has the capability now, but that it will try to develop that capability and move in that direction.
Growing more as a threat, then?
Yeah, I would think so.
Bronwyn, thanks so much for coming in. Always enjoy your analysis. Unfortunately, it comes on such a sad day. Thank you.